I'm Suraj Hashmi with the Washington Examiner, and this is White House Weekly, where we highlight the top stories coming from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We begin on Friday, August 7th. A top U.S. intelligence official says in a statement that Russia, China, and Iran are attempting to interfere in the 2020 presidential election. In his remarks, William Evanina, the director of the National Counterintelligence and Security Center, says Russia is using a range of measures to undermine Joe Biden's candidacy, while China is expanding its influence efforts and Iran is waging a disinformation campaign to hurt President Trump's chances of being re-elected. Saturday, August 8th. After 2 weeks of failed negotiations in Congress, President Trump announces multiple executive orders and actions to extend coronavirus relief to Americans, including unemployment benefits, an eviction moratorium, payroll tax holiday, and a deferment on student loans. Skipping ahead to Monday, August 10th, President Trump tweets that he'll deliver his presidential nomination acceptance speech from either one of two locations, the great battlefield of Gettysburg or the White House. Perhaps Trump is trying to channel Honest Abe Lincoln, who delivered his famous Gettysburg Address in November 1863 by giving his acceptance speech there. Which is fascinating given the fact that in July, he vowed to veto the Defense Authorization Bill because it included a provision to change the names of military bases that honored Confederate generals. Later, during a press conference, the president is abruptly escorted by the Secret Service after shots were fired outside the White House grounds. The suspect was injured and taken to the hospital with no other injuries reported. Tuesday, August 11th, Senator Kamala Harris of California is chosen to be presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden's running mate. Trump reacts to the news during his White House press conference by calling Harris nasty and just about the most liberal person in the U.S. Senate. Meanwhile, Trump announces that the U.S. will buy 100 million doses of Moderna's experimental coronavirus vaccine, a deal worth up to $1.53 billion. While the focus was on Biden picking Harris to be his running mate, the news that there could be a viable vaccine on the horizon for coronavirus being available is a crucial step to getting us back to the pre-COVID days, as many Trump critics argue that it is too dangerous to reopen the economy without a vaccine. Skipping ahead to Thursday, August 13th, President Trump tells Fox Business host Maria Bartiromo that the Democrats' demands to fund the U.S. Postal Service to expand mail-in voting is a non-starter in the coronavirus relief package.
They want $3.5 billion for something that'll turn out to be fraudulent. That's election money, basically. They want $3.5 billion for the mail-in votes.
Meanwhile, in a historic breakthrough, President Trump announces an agreement, which he helped broker, between Israel and the United Arab Emirates that will lead to the full normalization of relations and bring the Middle East one step closer to peace.
49 years, Israel and the United Arab Emirates will fully normalize their diplomatic relations. They will exchange embassies and ambassadors and begin cooperation across the board.
In a joint statement, the two nations pledged to expand diplomatic, trade, and security cooperation. According to the proposed deal, Israel intends to suspend annexation of the West Bank. While Joe Biden gets mixed reviews for selecting Kamala Harris to be his running mate, President Trump gets a big win on the foreign policy front by accomplishing something his critics never thought possible, bringing the Middle East closer to peace.